This is CBC Vancouver News.
It was pounding so hard against the windows that you couldn't see anything outside.
Seeing the destruction of Hurricane Beryl firsthand, the experience of a Vancouverite who witnessed the storm in Jamaica, and
landlords benefit. They get documentation delivered in a standardized way. Tenants benefit. They're able to access information about who's moving in.
a new online portal meant to ward off bad faith evictions, how it's going to crack down on shady landlords. Plus,
and now it's very hard to afford in BC.
Here it's very hard.
Is the cost of living high, you think?
Yeah, it's a high.
the struggle of affordability in BC leading newcomers to consider leaving the province, even the country. Hello, I am Jessica Cheung. Thanks for joining us. Hurricane Beryl is continuing its destructive path through the Caribbean. And as the Category 4 hurricane hit Jamaica today, a well-known Vancouver chocolatier was there and witnessed the damage firsthand.
The wind and the rain has let go. It was pounding so hard against the windows that you couldn't see anything outside. Then water penetrated. We on the fourth floor. Water penetrated through the very well sealed sliding doors into our room. You could see roofs going off and wedding chapels getting ripped out of the ocean from the beach, which is now part of the ocean. It was quite a scene.
Haas took these videos during the storm, and he was in Montego Bay for a family reunion when the hurricane hit the area. And he says he saw large objects flying around and palm trees uprooted. He says he feels safe, but is worried about the people in town. People in Jamaica have spent the day sheltering in place as dangerous winds and violent waves lash the city. Our Sasha Petrusik shows us the unfolding situation as the deadly storm roars over the island.
With winds pushing more than 200 kilometers per hour, pounding rain and surging seas, Hurricane Beryl bore down on Jamaica.
It has been very bad. I mean, very, very bad.
Hitting this eastern tip first off Nicole Shirley Phillips' porch.
It's raining. We had gusts of rain. A lot of trees are down. A lot of banana trees are going to be down.
Jamaica is used to hurricanes, but not like this. Beryl has come much earlier in the season. Its strength has grown much faster.
When we realized that this was coming for us, it was like panic, like, oh my goodness, it's been a while since we've had this happen.
The storm has already left a trail of havoc and death in the eastern Caribbean, damaging or destroying 90% of the houses on Union Island near Grenada.
To see this level of destruction, it is almost Armageddon-like, almost total damage or destruction of all buildings, complete devastation and destruction of agriculture.
With the northern eye wall on land over southern portions of the island.
As it hit Jamaica, even meteorologists from the U.S. Hurricane Center were surprised.
So very dangerous conditions ongoing now in Jamaica, and they are going to continue for the next several hours.
Experts say Beryl's fury is fueled by warmer than normal temperatures in the Atlantic Ocean.
Our region bears the brunt of the impacts of climate change.
Indeed, many more hurricanes are expected in the Atlantic. Instead of the usual 7 per year, meteorologists say as many as 12 may follow in the coming months. Sasha Petrusik, CBC News, Toronto.
Well, it's another attempt to track and stop shady landlords. The BC government is launching an online portal meant to prevent bad faith evictions. And while many say it's one useful tool to prevent homelessness and displacement, some are pushing the province to go a step further to protect vulnerable tenants. Katie DeRosa has that story.
Housing advocates with First United Church say they're flooded with cases of tenants who paid their rent on time but are being evicted to make room for the landlord or their family members. They and the province say that too often landlords are evicting tenants under false pretenses and then jacking up the rent for new tenants. Housing Minister Ravi Kahlon says a new mandatory web portal for landlords that will launch later this month will help the government track and prevent bad faith evictions.
Landlords benefit. They get documentation delivered in a standardized way. Tenants benefit. They're able to access information about who's moving in, and the provincial government gets to access how often this tool is actually being used and what happens to people from that.
The new rules passed by the NDP government in the spring restrict when landlords can evict a tenant for personal use of the unit. Now, if a landlord serves a personal use eviction, they or their family members have to live in the unit for at least 12 months, up from 6 months. When the website goes live July 18th, tenants will have 30 days to dispute an eviction, up from 15 days. The hope is that this will prevent landlords from using short-term family residency as a loophole to increase their rents in the unit. Amanda Burrows of First United said this practice is widespread. In a survey of 1,000 people who were evicted last year, they said 60% were asked to move out for personal use reasons.
Such a common means of eviction. Of those 60% of people saying there was landlord use evictions, how many then are of bad faith? We don't know yet. And that is why we were advocating for the BC government to create a portal such as what they're launching.
A spokesman for Landlord BC says the portal will help ensure smaller mom and pop landlords know the rules if they need to take back their property for personal use.
So the introduction of this new portal essentially means that landlords who are doing this will be well informed as to when it is appropriate to give this notice.
The government has also completely banned personal use evictions in purpose-built rentals with 5 or more units. First United said the online portal is a positive first step, but they would have liked to see the government require landlords to get permission from the residential tenancy branch before they serve the personal use eviction, similar to what's required when a landlord evicts a tenant for a renovation. Katie DeRosa, CBC News, Victoria.
And with temperatures expected to soar across BC in the coming days, more British Columbians are taking advantage of government rebates for heat pumps and air conditioning units. And that's why the province says it's now expanding its program.
This means that some eligible households will be able to qualify now for a heat pump at no cost, and that people with middle incomes are able to access these rebates and get the supports that they need to install heat pumps in their homes.
The expanded rebate program will cover up to $16,000 of the cost of a heat pump, which heats your home in the winter and cools it in the summer. Now, that's up from the previous rebate of $9,500, which left many out of pocket for the remaining cost. Also new, homeowners no longer have to pay up front to have the work done and wait to be reimbursed. Instead, the government will give the rebate directly to the installation company. The number of homes sold in the Lower Mainland last month dropped 19.1% compared to the same time last year. And experts say it comes as inventory has continued building to levels not seen since 2019. According to the Greater Vancouver Real Estate Board, there were roughly 2,400 home sales in the region in June. That's almost 24% below the 10-year seasonal average for June. And meanwhile, the number of homes listed for sale soared 42% year over year, topping 14,000 listings. 1 in 3 newcomers to Vancouver are considering leaving BC due to the high cost of housing. Now, that's what a new survey found. And it says renters countrywide are feeling squeezed out, but especially those who have recently arrived. As Pinky Wong tells us, many are prepared to move out of the province, some even out of Canada, in search of a more affordable place to live.
It's very hard to afford in BC, yeah.
It's very hard. Is the cost of living high, you think?
Yeah, it's a high.
The high cost of housing has many newcomers reconsidering where they'll live. In fact, a new survey reveals just how many people are prepared to leave BC.
A very stark situation with 2 in 5 or 40% of people who have emigrated to the country in the last 10 years saying they are thinking about either leaving their province or leaving the country overall due to the high cost of living.
In its poll, Angus Reid found this especially true for young people who are new to the country. This student is one of them.
So it's hard for us, yeah. And students are not even able to work 40 hours because of the rules of government.
1/3 of British Columbians surveyed say they're thinking about relocating to Alberta to find cheaper housing.
I'm very struggling right now as a minimum wage employer. I've been here about 6 years and I've done study, I found a job, but still I have my degrees, but I couldn't really find a good place that is affordable for me. I can say 90% of my income just goes for rent.
Among those who are considering leaving, more than a quarter are looking at moving abroad. Advocacy groups says the situation is even worse for refugees coming to Canada.
The housing market in BC really is not adequate for the newcomers that are coming to the country, and it is already inadequate. And then if there is anything that we can find, it is not affordable. So we have families who arrive with less than $500 on them.
Last year, nearly 38,000 British Columbians left BC for Alberta. Pinky Wong, CBC News, Vancouver.
Now to the interior, where one person has been killed in a helicopter crash south of Invermere. Police say a ranch owner piloted the privately owned helicopter and had 2 passengers on board. Search and rescue crews were dispatched to the area and found the helicopter. The pilot died in the crash, but both passengers survived and were taken to the hospital with non-life-threatening injuries. A Vancouver pharmacist has been suspended and his pharmacy shut down indefinitely over allegations of misusing drugs. BC's College of Pharmacists says his continued practice poses significant risk to patients and the public. And as Yasmin Granea is finding out, it's not the first time this pharmacist has been investigated.
I'm here at the Health Hub Pharmacy, which has been ordered to close its doors. It can't operate, and its manager, Sukhpreet Singh Sidhu, can no longer practice in the province as the College of Pharmacists of BC conducts an investigation. The regulatory body alleges a slew of non-compliance at the pharmacy, including inappropriate narcotic drug dispensing, improperly prepared narcotic prescriptions, and people not registered with the regulator delivering and administering drugs that treat opioid addiction. It also says Vancouver police found evidence of criminal activities in the pharmacy's delivery vehicle. Police tell CBC News a man who claimed to be doing deliveries for the pharmacy was engaging in a so-called dial-a-doping operation on the downtown east side this winter, where people call a cell phone number to arrange to buy drugs and get them delivered to a specific location. Police say he was seen with a variety of prescription medications, cash, and weapons, but there wasn't enough evidence to lay charges. It's important to note that the allegations against Sidhu and his pharmacy have not been proven, but the College of Pharmacists believes the allegations are extremely serious, that he had to be suspended while it investigates. Sidhu was previously investigated for similar concerns in 2020. The College of Pharmacists says after that probe, Sidhu said he would operate the pharmacy in compliance with legislation. It's unclear how long this investigation will take. In a statement sent to CBC, Sidhu says he's working with the college to address their concerns, respects the investigative process, and fully intends to resolve all issues. Yasmin Granea, CBC News, Vancouver.
Science World is getting $19 million from the federal government for critical upgrades. This is in addition to the $20 million forked over by the BC government ahead of Science World's 40th anniversary. And over the decades, the geodesic dome, one of the province's most iconic structures, has gone through considerable wear and tear. So this newest cash injection from Ottawa will go towards fixing the dome. Still to come, we'll take you to a special place right here in BC where a long-buried hidden stream has been restored. Stay tuned. Welcome back. The Vancouver Park Board has unveiled a small segment of a restored historical stream. Originally known as First Creek, it will flow through Volunteer and Tatlow Parks on the city's west side. As Rob Easton explains, it's one of many green infrastructure projects meant to clean the city's runoff.
I'm here in Tatlow and Volunteer Park, where you can see right beside me here, there is an empty stream bed. Now, this is a new piece of infrastructure that's meant to replace a storm sewer pipe that flows underground over there. And what's going to happen is stormwater is going to flow through here as a new piece of green infrastructure through the park, and it's going to create a whole new amenity for the people in the neighborhood here. It's one of a number of historic creeks that the city is bringing from underground into daylight. So I'm here with Ian Stewart, who's the Associate Director of Park Development with the City of Vancouver. So tell me a little bit about what this project is. You know, we're standing in front of a stream. There's not a lot of water in it right now, but what's happening here?
Absolutely. So what we're doing here is daylighting a creek. 100 years ago, this would have been a salmon-bearing creek, and this project is one of several daylighting projects in the city. We're basically taking this out of a pipe and allowing natural processes to reoccur here. Water comes into the park a little bit up that way. It's cleaned in a civil structure, and then it enters the park. There's a lot of rock beds here and log weirs. They slow the water and they allow sedimentation to happen. The planting is a natural planting.
Is there going to be fish?
There will not be fish in this creek. It's just a little bit too steep coming up from the water, and the flow isn't quite such that we can support fish here. It might be too warm.
And how exactly does it clean water?
So it cleans water. There's what's called a storm scepter. That's where the water enters the park. So you have water coming off the roads from the gutters. There's various heavy metals and chemicals and sands and sediments in that. That feature cleans that out first, and the sediments and rocks and planting will help to filter out some of those impurities. One of the best parts is that we're cleaning water, but we're also reconnecting people to the shoreline here. So we've got an accessible pathway that allows parents with strollers or those using a wheelchair with mobility challenges can get down to the water easily. We're reconnecting to the beach. We've done what's a naturalized shoreline, so instead of a wall there to protect against wave action, we've got boulders and grasses and species that would have been natural from historic times in this area.
And here is a live shot of Parliament Building in Victoria. Wow, does it feel like summer out there? But what does that mean for the province's wildfire situation? We'll have that and your full forecast next. Don't go anywhere.
Hey, I'm Rohith Joseph. Vibin' is the new show all about discovering great new songs and fresh artists from across BC and beyond. Stream Vibin' on CBC Listen.
Hi, I'm Amy Bell, and here's what's in your CBC Vancouver inbox. CBC returns as a media partner of the Surrey Fusion Festival, July 20th to the 21st. The festival features over 50 cultural pavilions that will incorporate the theme of landmarks of the world into their displays. For more information, visit surreyfusionfestival.ca. And never miss a special programming series, event, or contest. Subscribe to CBC Vancouver's e-newsletter and keep connected with us.
Gabriola Island is home to what may very well be the world's smartest chicken. Lacey the hen is the newest Guinness World Record holder after identifying 6 different shapes in 60 seconds. We caught up with the hen and her owner.
They're smart, a lot smarter than people think. There's a lot of official steps. They required that, first of all, the chickens get certified by a vet that they're all healthy enough. Then I had to get two timers, 2 people involved in local sports who had done official timing before, and 2 witnesses, and 2 or 3 people with cameras, as well as somebody taking photographs. So once I got all of them together, I took each chicken out one at a time, because they're all trained to do the same basic tricks. And I ran 2 or 3 of them that seemed to be, kind of on their game that day through the different set of tricks that I'd taught them. And they missed some, they got some, and Lacey was the one who got the most, so she's the one with the official record now. I've always, ever since I was a little kid, been fascinated with how animals, all different animals, think or feel. And I can remember being, a little kid, like 7 or 8 years old, and sitting out in our family chicken coop and staring at the chickens, and because I'd just read Dr. Dolittle, and trying to understand chicken language, and I realized pretty quickly nothing was going to happen there. So the bus that I built for them to take them back and forth, people get a big kick out of it. And I'd have to say that having chickens and doing something like this is a fantastic way to meet your neighbors. Treat them with respect and listen to what they're saying, and if they're trying to tell me something, try to figure out what they're trying to tell me. And I found that really greatly increased their interactiveness with me. A lot of people have chickens as pets now, and I think they have them as pets, but they're kind of missing out on this other side. And it becomes much more rewarding way to have chickens.
The weather update is brought to you by Direct Buy Furnace. To cool and clean the air in your home, call Direct Buy Furnace. Installing Train, the most reliable heating and cooling brand.
And now it's time to check in with our Doris Madavi for the weather forecast. It is really starting to feel like summer out there. It is hot, but that comes with some dangers.
It does, yes. And I thought we should do this first, get it out of the way, then we can get onto the fun stuff and talk about the sunshine that we're looking forward to. But yes, fire danger is climbing, not just in the north where we were seeing it climb before, but also down the coast. So parts of the island now experiencing moderate to high fire danger, as well as parts of the south coast, north coast, central coast. So over the next week, expect to see this map change from what we've been used to, or at least part of it has been green and blue, to pretty much just blanketed by yellow and orange. Even though we have seen drought conditions alleviate somewhat in the south, not going to be enough to really help too much with the fire danger. We're gonna shoot back up pretty quickly, I would say, in most regions at least. Now that's especially because in terms of precipitation, looks like there's nothing happening on this map at all, because there's virtually none happening. Maybe some convective activity and just some showers, not likely to be thunderstorms tomorrow in parts of the southeast, maybe in the central parts of the interior, maybe up to Fort St. John, but generally very dry. In terms of temperatures, those continue to climb over the next few days until we're hitting easily the mid to high 30s in the southern interior by the end of this weekend, probably the mid 20s by the water here. But if you go a little bit further inland, easily hitting 30, low 30s, and feeling quite a bit hotter because we're going to see that humidity build along parts of the coast. Maybe add by the end of the weekend 5 degrees to whatever it says the high is. In terms of the lows, though, those are staying low. So a little bit of a reprieve does come overnight, really across BC. Nowhere are we seeing those really high lows that signify a really major heat dome event or something like that. A little bit of relief comes overnight. Generally tomorrow, like I said, nothing but sunshine across the board, just a slight chance of showers in a few places as we see that heat warm up in the afternoon. And then in terms of a forecast, don't spend too long on this one, Jess. It do be sunny.
It looked very sunny. Okay, I'm personally excited for it. So
me too.
Yes. Thanks so much, Darius.
Thank you.
And that is your late news for this Wednesday, July 3rd. For news anytime, anywhere, download the free CBC News app, and you can always find us online at cbc.ca/BC. Thanks for watching and have a wonderful night.